Good morning, everyone. As I've been introduced, my name is Kanyinke Sena. I am from a country called Kenya. I'm from a country called Kenya, which is in Africa. And it's very, very far away from Tucson, where we are today. But the fact that I'm here makes me very, very happy, and I'm first like this opportunity to recognize the entire congregation here, the community, the Yaqui community, and their leaders, both from Tucson and from the Yaqui Pueblos. It's a real pleasure to be here with you all. The fact that I'm here too shows that the issues that you're facing are not unique to this area, but it affects indigenous peoples all over the world. And as a result of this, a permanent forum on indigenous peoples was established within the United Nations system to be able to dialogue around these issues and talk with governments and UN agencies. And as I stand today here, I stand representing the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, of which I'm currently the chair. So I bring you greetings also, not only from the forum itself, but from indigenous people from all over the world. So I've been listening very keenly to the issues that have been discussed through Professor Naya and the different speakers here. And the issue of water is emerging as a fundamental issue of this discussion and water rights around the Yaqui Basin. This issue of water is really quite a pressing one, and of course it goes to the root of the right to life that we, not only as indigenous people, but as humanity, have. And in fact, people nowadays say that the Fourth World War will be about water. So talking about the issue of the right to water is actually critical, and for indigenous peoples especially, because it's indigenous peoples all over the world who are currently suffering the biggest challenges in relation to water. In all countries that I've been to, and I've been to many countries all over the world, the situation is similar. Rivers get diverted to give water to cities. And the rivers are from indigenous people's territories. And no consideration is placed on the table on how those indigenous peoples will get that water. Rivers are diverted to make farms in far-off places, forgetting the people where the waters are from. But this issue has also been recognized at the UN level, that the right to water is a basic human right. So in July 2010, for example, the UN General Assembly, and when I say the UN General Assembly here, for those who may not know who the UN General Assembly is, but all the presidents in the world meet and they declared that the right to water is a fundamental human right that every citizen of every country is entitled to. And in that resolution that the presidents of the whole world agreed to in July 2010, they called upon states and international organizations to provide financial resources, help capacity building, and also to transfer technology to help countries, in particular developing countries, to provide safe, clean, accessible, and affordable drinking water and sanitation for everyone, and that includes indigenous people. In November 2002, again, the Committee on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights linked the right to water to economic and cultural rights. You cannot develop economically, you cannot progress socially, you cannot progress culturally without water. water basically is the basis. In fact, some religions say the 4 elements of life, isn't it? Water, fire. Water is the key to life. So, in that meeting, the right to water was defined as a right to everyone, and everyone has a right to sufficient, safe, acceptable, and physically accessible and affordable water for both personal and domestic use. So, in this discussion we are having today, in this very important meeting, it will not only affect you people here, both from the Paskwayaki and the Yoyaki pueblos, but it will resonate worldwide. It will resonate worldwide because the experiences, what you're going through is what other people are going through, indigenous people all over the world, and from the decisions, from the way forward that you build here, it will inform other processes globally. And I've had the issue of governance and the right to consultations of indigenous people, and the consultations lead to free, prior, and informed consent. Very important, because we have the right to determine and to decide our destiny as a people. And in the process of designing our destiny, we must also be sure that whatever we decide, whatever direction we push our destiny, it's for our own interest. And that cannot happen if among ourselves we are not unified. We have to speak with one voice, because whenever we are divided, it becomes very easy to rule us. So we should speak with one voice. That way, when we approach consultation processes with government, we ensure that then the consultations are based on good faith and transparency on government. So, just to cut a long story short, I think this forum will be very important on several other platforms that are being undertaken at the UN level. And one of those platforms that I'd really like this meeting to take into serious consideration of is the issue of a world conference on indigenous people that will be held on September 22nd and September 23rd, 2014 at the United Nations headquarters in New York. It will be a high-level plenary. They call it a high-level plenary, a world conference. And it's expected that indigenous peoples from all over the world will participate, and also heads of states from all over the world will be there. And according to the resolution, that passed the sitting of the forum, that meeting has been established in order to share perspectives and best practices on the realization of the rights of indigenous peoples, including pursuing the objectives of the declaration. So when you look at it, it's a meeting to share perspectives. So perspectives from this meeting will be critical. A meeting to share best practices, what works, and at all these challenges, what works. So this meeting will also be key to that process. And it also be a meeting to pursue the objectives of the declaration. And all of us, I'm sure, already may know the objectives of the declaration and the various rights that indigenous peoples are entitled to under that declaration. And if you haven't seen that declaration, please look for it. It's a very, very important document. And even though people say it's just a declaration and not binding, certain elements of it are already assuming customary international law, then it makes it binding now on government. So, but the most important thing about this World Conference of Indigenous Peoples is one thing that affects directly the participants in this meeting today. And that is the role that the government of Mexico has been playing in this meeting. Within the UN, the UN is a very political institution, but the ambassador of Mexico has actually been at the forefront, leading the discussion towards the World Conference to ensure that indigenous people's issues are catered for in a way that reflects the aspirations of indigenous people. So the first thing we have to do as an outcome of this meeting is actually to tell the government of Mexico to walk their talk in relation to the community that is here today. Secondly, the government, I don't know whether, okay, we invite, I understand that they were invited to be here, I don't know whether they managed to come. To tell you that the next thing that Mexico is planning towards the World Conference is to hold the second global preparatory meeting, and they'll hold it in the city of Mexico City from 31st to 2nd April 2014 to discuss the World Conference and how that will work. Now, would it make sense, really, for the government of Mexico, for example, to bring indigenous peoples from all over the world, but not ensure that its own indigenous people are strongly present in that meeting? No. So we have to see how we should engage. We should start engaging so that the Paskiayaki and from both Arizona and Mexico participate in the World Conference in a very strong manner. And to discuss this issue that will be discussed here today. And from what we understand already, that the ambassador told us about 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with the Mexican ambassador in New York, and they told us that that meeting will be attended by the President of Mexico himself. So it will be important if you could get an appointment during that conference to talk. You ride on the global conference to meet the President, isn't it? So it will be important for you to start seeing how to engage in that process. And I'm sure there are a few activists here who have been following that process very closely and would be happy to share with you the developments. The other processes that are being discussed globally now is the discussions around the post-2015 development agenda. I'm sure many of you are aware of what the world said about 15 years ago on the Millennium Development Goals. But we realized that the Millennium Development Goals did not work in indigenous people's territories throughout the world because basically the way they were designed was not responsive to indigenous people's cultural practices, aspirations, and way of life. So indigenous peoples need to be participating in that process as we design, as the UN system designs the post-2015 development agenda. And finally, the Permanent Forum holds an annual session every year where indigenous people from all over the world meet for 10 days in New York to discuss issues that are affecting them and how to drive this process, how to drive the discussion forward in the recognition of the rights of indigenous people. So we hope that the Paskiayaki people from both Arizona and Mexico would participate in the next session of the Permanent Forum in a strong way. And the next session will be held from 12th to 23rd May 2014, again in New York. And the theme will be Principles of Good Governance, consistent with the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, in line with Article 3 to 6 and Article 46. So here, principles of good governance is important. We would be happy, the whole of indigenous people from all over the world will be happy to hear what the Paskiayaki would say about tribal self-government, how we organize this, because that's the challenge that indigenous people face all over the world. We'll be happy to hear what your views are on water rights, on what your views are on land management, on managing culture, on managing women issues, on managing all these things. It's a very important discussion that we invite all of you to participate in. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure there may be language difficulties, but I hope the message has passed through. Thank you so much.